Good morning. My name is Jill Thompson, and I have the honor of being your worship associate this morning. Please make sure to turn your cell phones to worship mode at this time. We welcome everyone here and online to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke, and with a special welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. We hope you stay after the service for coffee in the fellowship hall. Let's take a second to stand up and connect with everyone watching at home. For those of you online who wish to share your joys and concerns during the Lifelines portion of the service, please put them in the chat in the next 15 minutes. We acknowledge that our church resides on the traditional lands of the Tutelo and Monacan nations and was later farmed and developed through slave labor. We recognize and respect the ongoing connection to this land by generations of Black and Indigenous people of color. May our gratitude and fellowship here echo and honor that rich history. Our minister is the Reverend Walter LaFleur, who is out on medical leave. And during that time, our temporary minister is the Reverend Kirk Balin. And while he is not in the pulpit, our speaker today is Antonio Stovall. Please join me in reciting our words of welcome. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you express your identity, whatever your situation in life, whatever your experience of the holy, as you come seeking love, your presence here is a gift. Whether you are filled with sadness or overflowing with joy, needing to be alone with yourself or eager to engage with others, all who welcome all are welcome here. And now we'll have Erica Joyner give the board report.
Good morning. This is a report of the board meeting that happened last Tuesday. It was actually a pretty laid-back meeting. We drank mint juleps and ate bonbons, discussed the latest Netflix movies. And Lynn made a creditable set of minutes that are the basis of my report. So anyway, this is actually what happened. Our first order of business was a proposal by Walker Hartman for a program called Lunch Buddies to foster closer relationships between white and Black participants. We suggested that he discuss the program ideas with racial justice team and possibly seek advice from Brenda Hale about how to shape the program. In preparation for the generosity campaign, we approved a budget for fiscal year 24-25 that includes our full UUA fair share contribution. It also includes increased building maintenance, ongoing problem, a 22% increase in LFD funds, staff raises, and a competitive pay package for the contract minister to be hired. The full budget will be presented for approval at our annual meeting in June. After 3 weeks of temperatures in the 50s inside our church, you might be wondering, you might be wanting an update on the boiler situation. A contract has been signed for a company to pressure test the boiler and either make repairs or suggest replacement. The whole process will take at least another 3 weeks. So pray for warm weather. If the boiler needs to be replaced, the board and the facilities committee will discuss how to move forward. Repairs on the roof were started but are now waiting on warmer weather to be completed. A revision of the church use fee schedule, including parking lot rental by groups in harmony with UU values, was passed by the board. The board will seek volunteers to manage a UUCR outreach table at parking lot events in the future. We reviewed the interim minister contract for Kirk Balin, which codified our previous agreements with him. The contract was approved most vociferously. Anna Tulu has invited UUCR to participate in her ordination at the UU congregation in Blacksburg. Yeah. Date to be determined. We said absolutely. The board will ask the Caring Committee to come up with guidelines for using the Lifelines book for joys and concerns rather than political viewpoints. In a related manner, there is now a link to the UUA statement on Gaza in our group Facebook page, in the next weekly newsletter, and soon to be on our UUCR website. In the minister's report, Kirk reported that he has visited most of our shut-ins and updated us on their conditions. Kitty Shear's Celebration of Life service went well, with much assistance from the Caring Committee. Kirk met with the Caring Committee and the worship associates, who have now scheduled Sunday programming through July. Kirk met with Kevin Kinsey of the Central Church of the Brethren, who is spearheading the Roanoke Reparations Group. So we're continuing that connection. Also, Jesse and Kirk will work on a prospective UU orientation classes together, hopefully coming soon. In the VP Finance report, Erica reported that the church finances are on a solid footing amidst the challenges of building maintenance expense and of extra ministerial compensation expenses. Total endowment investments have increased in value by $20,700 since the beginning of the fiscal year. And I'm almost done. The search for an interim contract minister is going well. Our search team, headed by Gordon Malcheski, is updating the application portal, UUA application portal, and consulting with UUA compensation team. The goal is to have our posting of the position live on the UUA portal by the end of March. The Grounds Committee has decided to remove the largest of the Zelkova trees in the church's memorial garden to bring in more sun and to stem the damage to the memorial wall. The $1,900 expense will be paid from the existing memorial garden fund. Kudos to Mary Harshfield and the Grounds Committee for a wonderful job they are doing on our grounds. And thus endeth the report.
Good morning and happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Walker and I are here to kick off the 2024-2025 Pledge campaign, generosity campaign. And it's really an honor and a privilege to do that for something that's so important to the sustainability of the congregation and our faith. One of the things our congregation wanted to focus on when Rev Walter came here was on stewardship, and we've made a lot of progress in that area in the last couple years. In 2020, in the middle of the lockdown, Walker was leading the campaign that was called Planting Seeds, and we spent a lot of that income that came in. We reached the target that we made in order to bring our staff up to the UU recommended salaries. We had been underpaying to that point, so that was successful in that year's campaign. The next year, give a high five on that. The next year, the theme was emergence. And just like a seed that emerges and germinates in the soil and pokes through the soil to come out, we came out of our homes, we came back to church, went outside, had coffee hour outside, later brought it inside. And again, we put a lot of funding that year into upping our online capabilities, and we continue to do that for people that can view the service from home. Last year, our theme was Let It Grow, right? And right before we started the campaign, we realized that we were losing some income from one of the cell towers that are up in our antenna, about $25,000. So we shortened that budget. We totally closed that gap from the campaign last year. So 3 in a row. All right, so how do we follow this campaign up? And the only way to do that would be with a harvest. So that's this year's campaign is going to be harvest. We'll be doing things a little differently than we've done. We won't have a thermometer in the Gen Cam corner.
Why not?
We will be having a harvest feast. We're going to do that on May 4th. We're going to pass around some calendars with some of the events on it. But we were going to transform this space into a first-class dining venue. We will have a harvest. You may be wondering what this basket's all about. But that's the main thing of the campaign this year. So we're not going to be doing this on a weekly basis and doing a calendar update. We're really going to have a pledge event at that May 4th harvest feast. So stay tuned for details on that. Walker?
When are we going to have a pledge event?
That's going to be on May 4th.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But there'll be some other events. So some of the things that will go along. We're going to have an open mic, music and poetry event along the way. We'll give you more information on that. The youth group is going to host a karaoke night somewhere along the way. So there's going to be a lot of activities. So stay tuned for those things. There will also be some information sessions after the church. So if you want to get more information about the finances for the church, the work that the board is doing with the congregation and kind of the direction that we're moving, we're going to be having 4 of those information services after the service. And those have been really informative and a good place for a discussion during that event. I think that gets us to the end of it. Walker, you want to take us home?
You know, I forgot to get the hand mic, so I got to turn it up. Oh, there is one. Remind me how to turn it on. That's why I try. Here it is, the harvest. This will be in the fellowship hall after the congregation. You're all invited to come and take something home from the harvest. That's what it's here for. I'm a bachelor. I don't even know what some of these things are. So help me out, okay? Come on in, take something home, and remember that this is something that you've all earned. We've been through some hard years, but now it's time for the harvest, and it is a plenteous and bounteous harvest for sure. Thank you very much.
Please join me in reading our covenant. We commit to supporting each other with respect and direct communication as we work in community to explore spiritual growth and to be a force for good in the world.
Good morning. Our opening hymn is We Are, and the words will be on the screen in front of you. And let's all stand and sing it together. I have the mini choir here to help us.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are.
Our speaker today is Antonio Stovall. He's a resident of Roanoke, Virginia, who practices comedic yoga and martial arts, writes poetry, conducts research, and works as a holistic wellness practitioner and cultural and spiritual leader. Antonio teaches African American culture at William Fleming High School, and his program has gained national recognition from Yahoo News, Black Enterprise, and Essence Magazine for its positive impact on the lives of young men and women. Antonio founded Ancestral Perspective, a grassroots movement that aims to educate people on the significance of relearning their ancestral identity. He delivers lectures on cultural awareness and wellness, hosts blog talk radio shows, and facilitates self-empowering study groups. Antonio has traveled across the country, including to Egypt, visiting multiple indigenous alternative healing schools where he realized the importance of balancing the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and social aspects of ourselves to achieve optimal health. Our opening words today are by Sophia Lyon-Fans. Many of the past generation and many of today have found 3 abiding values in prayer: the quiet meditation of life, the reaching out toward the universal and the infinite, and the courageous facing of one's profoundest wishes. Let parents sense and share with their children the glory and mystery of everyday things. Let them look with sympathy upon humanity's age-long dilemmas. Let no questions be taboo. The next generation can ill afford to have the deeper values deleted from the Book of Life. We will now light our chalice.
May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of light.
As you may have seen by this example, I'm going to invite those who are young or young at heart to come forward and join me up here. I have some things to show you. My name, for those of you who don't know me, is Jessie McEwen. I use they, them pronouns. Hey, come on over. So when I say ancestor, what do you guys think of? An old person. What else? Grandparents, certainly. Is an ancestor always someone who's alive? No. People from the past. You know, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's a Disney movie called Mulan where the ancestors show up in Mulan, and there's a temple actually where she goes to speak to her ancestors, and they're kind of funny. And I'll be honest with you, ancestors can be funny. They can be lots of things. You're related to them. So you guys also know this about me, that I spend lots of time in a sweat lodge. I spend lots of time with the Lakota people in South Dakota and in Texas. So we actually invite our ancestors into space, sacred space with us. Would you consider the church to be a sacred space? Yeah. Okay, so let's invite those ancestors to join us this morning. And then we're going to, after we invite those ancestors in, we're going to go out the door. Some of them may come with us. And then we're going to make something really cool. So the first thing that I do when I invite the ancestors in is I take my shoes off. You guys keep your shoes on for now, because if we all take our shoes off, it's going to take us the rest of the time to get the shoes back on. But that's why I'm wearing my Crocs with no socks so that I can connect with the ground. Now, lots of times when I'm doing this before Sweat Lodge, I'm standing beside a fire. And I have bare ground, no grass even, just dirt right there by that fire. So I get in there with my toes and I get dust and mud and whatever the weather is like, that happens on my feet. So I take my shoes off and connect with the earth, because the earth is one of my ancestors. The next thing I do is I close my eyes and I take a deep breath. Can we do that together? And then I take some sweetgrass and I light it. And the smell of the sweetgrass is so sweet. Sometimes I tap it on a hot stone, but today I'm going to use a lighter. And we're going to smell this wonderful smell of the burning sweetgrass. And it's so sweet that it invites our ancestors in. You guys can lean in and see if you can smell it. It does smell good, doesn't it? And the burning of this sacred element, that says, hey, ancestors, we're going to pray, we're going to cry, we're going to laugh. We're going to do lots of things in this space right here. And you are welcome to join us. And actually, we want you here. So this is how we invite our ancestors in. And then the very last thing that we do, after we've had a session of prayer or a healing song session, we have a feast and we make a spirit plate. Now, the spirit plate right now is empty. I do those three things first to connect. And then at the very end, I leave them with some food. And what we do is we take a little bit of everything and put it on the spirit plate. Before we even eat, we feed our ancestors. And we say, thank you so much for being here with us. Here's your food. And then we leave that food out. And sometimes that food goes in the fire. Sometimes it gets eaten by wild animals who can also carry some ancestral spirit with them. But we leave that spirit plate out as a thank you, and we feed them first. And in my family, we always make sure the oldest person gets to eat first. We do the oldest person and then all the kids, because the kids are usually pretty hungry. So the oldest person gets that food, not the spirit plate, but we make a spirit plate, feed the eldest, and then everybody else goes through the line of food. So that's how we connect in my family and the way I was raised. That's how we connect with our ancestors. We're actually going to go spend a little time talking about ancestors and our relationship to the ancestors at large. And we're going to make a really, really cool art project. Are you ready? Let's do it. Get my shoes on.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. Walls surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Our reading is titled Ancestral Voices by Antonio Stovall. In the ancient winds, whispers of old, echoes of ancestors, stories untold. Through the veil of time, they call our name, guiding our spirits, igniting the flame. In the rhythm of drums, their voices arise, Sangoma's journey under starlit skies. Ancestral wisdom, flowing like a stream, is a sacred dream in the heart of the healer. With bones and herbs, we weave our art, connecting the worlds, never apart. Ancestors' blessings upon us bestow as we dance with spirits in the cosmic flow. In the dance of life, we honor the past, roots deep in the earth, forever steadfast. Sangoma's legacy in the bloodline runs, ancestral power passed from mothers to sons. So we sing their praises with hearts pure and true. In the sacred circle, we commune anew. In their wisdom, we find our way, Sangoma's journey guided each day. Through the veil of time, their presence near, ancestral spirits forever dear. In the depths of our souls, their voices sing, Sangoma's legacy, eternal spring.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So I would like to start off with a universal greeting. Tokuza, Hetapu, Namaste, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum. All the universal greetings from all around the world, because at the end of the day, we are the same people. We're all striving for harmony, peace of mind, and healing. We're all striving to better ourselves in this moment. Tokoza. So my name is Antonio Stovall, also known as Mkulu Kula Makusina. Mkulu is a title that means someone who is wise. Kula means leader or warrior. Makusina is someone who has royalty. So I just wanted to give give some insight about my life. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to know someone, look behind them. So I'm just going to give you, talk about my journey and how I became a Sangoma in this moment. I was born and raised here in Roanoke, Virginia, grew up in Southwest. I spent a lot of time in the Southwest in the Hurt Park area. Most people who know me from playing basketball. I played at James Madison. I played at Patrick Henry, and I ended up getting a scholarship at Virginia Union in Richmond, Virginia. During that time in college, I was going through a lot of stress. My upbringing, I didn't have the best mentors. My brothers, my cousins, they were in the streets. So these became my models, and I wanted to be like them. If you would have asked me my 12th grade year in high school, what did I want to be when I grow up, I would have even told you a basketball player, NBA basketball player, or a drug dealer. It's because that's all I knew. So as I went forward on my journey into college, I was dealing with a lot of internal struggle, internal chaos. And I tried to figure it out. So back in 2005, I got into mindfulness meditation. And what I noticed was the mindfulness meditation was helping me detach from a lot of the emotions, a lot of the heartache, a lot of the pain that I was suffering. My mother loved me. She loved me dearly, but she didn't know how to express that love. So she didn't tell me, good job, son, or I love you, or showing it through touch. So that was one of the things that I really struggled with, just learning how to love myself. Moving forward, in 2012, I started working at Roanoke Memorial, and I get a phone call. And it's my cousin. He's telling me, Tony, you need to come home. I was like, I'm at work, cuz I can't. At the time, I was working at the hospital as a phlebotomist. And he was like, okay. So I went back to work. Next thing you know, I get another call from my little sister. And my little sister is someone I'm really close with. And she was like, I came home and my mama wasn't home. She's not answering the door. And I'm like, Miriam, I'm at work right now. Just keep knocking on the door. So I hung up the phone, go right back to work. Next thing you know, my cousin calls me again. And he says, you really need to come home. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna come home. So I let my supervisor know that I was on my way home and I will be back. And I get another phone call as I'm leaving the hospital from my father from Franklin County. And he was like, you okay, son? I'm like, yes, Dad, I'm okay. He was like, you haven't heard yet? I'm like, what happened? And he was like, you haven't heard, your mother had just been murdered. She was murdered by her ex-boyfriend, and he ended up taking his life. And in that moment, I could have done two things. I could have went on the path of self-destruction because I knew how to destroy myself because I seen it my whole life. Or I could have went on the path of trying to heal myself. So I took the path of seeking to heal myself. So during that time, nobody wanted to go in my mother's home. Like my family didn't want to go, her friends didn't want to go because it was a traumatic, it was a bloody crime scene. So I had to go within myself, build the willpower, build the courage to go in, to clean the blood of my mother, to give away her belongings, donate her belongings, and just bring more harmony and healing to the space. I didn't know I didn't know what to do. I just was moving. And as I was moving, I guess she was speaking to me, or the ancestors were speaking to me, do this, do that, and we ended up completing the job. So after that, I actually went around the country studying with other master teachers, and eventually I took all that information and I came back to Roanoke. I actually went to Egypt, studied in Egypt for 2.5 weeks, And again, these are things that I would have never thought in a million years that I would do. And so once I got back to Roanoke from Egypt, this doors just started opening up for me. I started working with TAP. I started working with other churches. I just started working with a whole bunch of different people in the community. And doors were just started to open up for me. So I got into comedic yoga, started getting into martial arts. I started getting into all these different healing modalities. And it started to help me. And I wanted to share this wisdom with other people who may have experienced some type of trauma. But there was still something missing. I've been living in the Grandin area probably over 10 years now. I worked at, most people who know me in this area know me from Roanoke Co-op. I used to work at the co-op for like 10 years. So I love this area. And I really built a strong connection with the Roanoke River. So one day I'm at the Roanoke River, and the water spirits was pretty much telling me, you need to study shamanism. So I was like, okay, I want to study shamanism, but I don't want to study it by myself. I want a teacher, because that's something else that I've learned over the years is it's important to have a teacher on this journey. So I started to seek a teacher, and I came across someone who taught the tradition of Sangoma. And we're going to get into that. I would like to share that, the healing tradition of the Sangoma. So what is a Sangoma? A Sangoma is a traditional healer, also known as a soul doctor in South Africa. My teacher traveled to Nigeria. She traveled to Ghana, but she also traveled to South Africa and got initiated into these different spiritual houses. And she now initiates others into the Sangoma tradition. So 70% of the people in South Africa go to a Sangoma before they go to a medical doctor. Not saying that they don't believe in the medicine, but at the same time, they feel a lot of our sickness and our disease starts from an emotional and a spiritual level, and then it then manifests in a physical. So my spiritual calling to become a Sangoma was, it was a challenging experience. I spent 3 years going through the process of being trained on how to sing, how to dance, how to play the drums. And keep in mind, like, this was never a part of my upbringing. So these are things that I had to like learn and had to get out of my way. I had to get out of a box. But during that time, as I was learning to sing, dance, and play the drums, I was connecting to another part of myself that I didn't know existed. And that was me, again, connecting with that ancestral spirit that we all have. So the training, like I said, was probably one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life because of the discipline that I had to have. I couldn't eat certain foods. I had to sleep on the floor. That right there pretty much teaches humility. I had to acknowledge my family a certain way, acknowledge other people a certain way. But the more that I did that, the more it just taught me how to be more humble. So how do the ancestors play in our journey, in my journey during this time? So the ancestors play a big part because when I look in the mirror, I just don't see myself. I see my mother, and I see my father. And then when I look in my mother and my father, I see their mother and their fathers. So in reality, I am a connection of those who came before me. And a lot of times we don't think about the gifts that our ancestors passed down to us. And unfortunately, in the African-American community, a lot of our history, a lot of our culture was taken from us. So it's been one of those things where over the years, I've been just trying to figure things out. And now I've gotten to a place where I'm starting to figure it out with the path of becoming a Sangoma. So some of the healing practices that we do, we work with herbal medicine, spiritual baths, or herbal baths. We also use, again, Gita, which is a form of dance, chants, drumming, ancestral songs, to help us go into a trance state. And once we enter into this trance state, we block out the world and we start to get information on our particular client that we're dealing with. Right now, I have clients who have some serious spiritual psychosis that they're going to, and we recommend them to go to counselors, but we also provide like spiritual counseling as well. So we merge all of it together for them. And so that is a part of the tradition as a Sangoma, to be like a spiritual advisor for people who may not be into church. Because as we are heading into, or we're in a age what we call the information age, where a lot of people are seeking alternative forms of healing, alternative forms of spirituality. And my path, my journey as a Sangoma is basically giving people an outlet to help them on their journey. So again, the Sangoma is considered a spiritual leader, also a cultural leader, and a educator. My program at William Fleming has done amazing over the years. We started off with like 12 students. Now we're up to like 60 students. And this has been over 4 years. We're seeing a lot of transformational work dealing with the African American Culture Program, because we're basically just giving them a sense of self. A lot of times when we look in our community, we see gun violence, we see gang violence. A lot of that is connected to young people not knowing who they are. So they are picking up these identities of rappers, gang members, and then they express that in their actions. But in reality, they just want to be something other than what society has taught them. So with the African American Culture Program, I basically give them information on the importance of mindfulness meditations, the importance of affirmations, and the importance of understanding culture and history. One unique thing I really enjoy about the Sangoma journey is the fact that you have different types of Sangomas. You have Sangomas who are Christian. You have Sangomas who are Muslim. You have Sangomas who practice indigenous spirituality. So it's just not stuck in a box. It really embodies all forms of spirit. And that's something that I really I respect by the journey, because that's how I am. I resonate with all forms of spirituality. And this is one of the reasons why I actually like this church and this space, because you all respect that as well. Some of the challenges, especially in my community, is when you're stepping out the box. Let me give you an example. When my mother transitioned, people thought I was the one that killed my mother. And the reason why they thought I did that is because I was into martial arts. They thought I went crazy. I was into martial arts. I was into veganism. I was into meditation. So they thought that I had lost my mind. But if I would have been standing on the corner, smoking a blunt, drinking alcohol, that would have been okay. But as over the years, the community has been more open because of the information. But one of the things about being a Sangoma is it's like the path that not too many people know about. And to me, it kind of makes me fearful to truly express my spiritual calling because of how others may perceive it. So what is my goals? One of my goals as a Sangoma is to basically help unify the community. No matter what your beliefs are, no matter what your race, is to really help the community connect with what it means to be a human and how to connect with the earth, how to connect with each other. That's one of my roles as a Sangoma, and to provide alternative guidance. I also do spiritual readings, so divinations. That's something else that we're known for in Sangomas, is doing divination readings for people. And with the divination readings, we basically help you identify certain blockages in your life. It could be mental, it could be physical, it could be spiritual, it could be emotional. And through that process, we diagnose, and then we provide a prescription of what you need to do. It may be you may need to change up your diet. You may need to give some offerings to your ancestors. You may need to connect with the river. You may do some prayers at the mountain. It just depends. Everybody's different. And also, my goal is to encourage people to have an open mind to alternative ways of seeing the world, because we're not all the same, but I feel that we all can appreciate our uniqueness and our gifts, our unique gifts. And lastly, I would just like to thank you all for this opportunity to share my experience, to share my journey. I feel like this is me becoming my authentic self. This is very therapeutic for me, because I've always had to dim my light. But now I'm in a season where I want to express my authentic self. And I really appreciate you all for giving me this opportunity to do that. And I would like to finish off with just a prayer, a quick prayer. Tokoza, thank you all for being a part of this journey. May our minds be clear. May our hearts remain open. May our bodies be relaxed. May our spirits be free from any trauma, from any stress. And may this day be a day of enlightenment, healing, and peace. Tokoza. Thank you all.
The work of this church requires the time, talent, and treasure of many people. Your contribution today will help us carry on this work in our congregation, in our community, and in the greater world around us. Your generosity today ensures that we can carry on the mission of our church in this generation and for many more to come. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sally Garber, and it's my honor to represent the Caring Committee this morning. And I hope that you paid attention last week and know now a little bit more about what the Caring Committee does. I have several things I'd like to share with you this morning. First of all, we have new artwork hanging now in the sanctuary. Please take some time to look at it. Remember that if you buy a piece of art here at the church gets a little bit of that money. So you can profit yourself and profit the church. If you have questions, please check with Jane Haddad or Sue Egbert. The next note is from Mary Hartsfield. Thank you to all the volunteers who have been helping to get our church grounds ready for the growing season. We had 7 volunteers yesterday and 9 volunteers the week before. So take some time to look at our beautiful grounds. And next time, maybe you can help out. I have several other things that I'd like to share with you. First of all, the Caring Committee is still providing meals for Rev. Walter and Yvette. And I have some openings the end of April. So if you'd like to prepare a meal for them, please let me know. Also, if you'd like to know more about Tim Andriano's health as he is recovering from his fall, please take the time to join the Caring Bridge. And if you have trouble with joining, let me know and I'd be glad to send you some directions. The last entry that I read from Caring Bridge, Tim expressed his joy at being outside in the warm weather that we had the first of the week. Also, he mentioned that he'll be having surgery the end of the month to remove the rod that was in, put a new rod in, and put some screws in his ankle. Following that, he'll be in a non-bearing weight cast, so he'll need to be using a wheelchair. Following that, he'll need some weeks of physical therapy to learn how to walk again, because it will have been, I think, about 4 months since he'd been able to walk. So I encourage you to learn more about Tim's journey as he recovers by joining the Caring Bridge. So now, if you'd like to light a candle that's something that you're holding on your heart, please come forward during the music meditation. And as you do that, please use both sides of the altar. Thank you.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the stillness, hold the stillness, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence.
May our prayers be heard and our hearts be restored.
This is a prayer for caregivers and ancestors by Sarah Goodman. Join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Find a comfortable place for your body. Breathe as deeply as you are able. Hold in your mind the image of all things, all beings, coming from the same tree, roots stretched in limitless tangles of connection and sustenance, interconnected and interlaced in a web of living and dying that is so beautifully designed and most times invisible. Join me in breathing. Breathe in for our lives touched by ancestors known and unknown. Breathe out for living lives that will touch our descendants. Breathe in for folks held in loving arms as they were raised up. Breathe out for folks who had to make their own way too early in their lives. Breathe in for beloveds who we hold close in our hearts every day. Breathe out for beloveds we sometimes have trouble reaching out to. Breathe in for loving. Breathe out for losing. Breathe in for parents doing the best that they can. Breathe out for the impossible decisions they've had to make. Breathe in for caregivers of all kinds who give of themselves to make other people's lives better, more whole. Breathe out to honor this holy work. Let's take a moment of silence together. Amen. This is me too. We have some short announcements today. There are two in the order of service. We are still taking our special collection of the month for NAACP, and if you'd like to direct money towards there, please make sure you write in the memo NAACP. And lastly, speaking of special collections, if you work for a local social service or social justice organization, you can nominate that agency to benefit from one of our special collections of the year, and these will be voted on at the annual meeting. Instructions on how to nominate are in the order of service. And lastly, Catherine is going to come give an announcement.
Hi, everybody. One last thing we discussed at the board meeting was that we need delegates from our church to go to the UUA General Assembly. I have a colorful flyer, which is posted and which you can also take home with you. This is a pretty easy job this year. The assembly is all virtual, and we're going to pay for every bit of what you do. So we'll pay your registration, we'll cater get-togethers for the delegates to watch together if they want to, or while they're discussing what they're going to vote on. So the date is June 20th to 23rd, 2024. You can do it in your PJs. It's online. Cost is nothing. We're going to cover everything. And the benefits are that you get to represent this church on the major issues that will be voted on, especially the Article 2 revision, which we've been talking about. Yes. As a bonus, you can attend a host of interesting workshops, and I can attest there's some really cool ones, and participate in special worship services online again. And you also have a chance to meet fellow UUs from around the country, and it's pretty amazing to realize how many of us are out there. And we'll provide catered get-togethers. So if you're interested, contact me, my email or phone, or any board member. That includes Gordon, Malcheski, Erica Joyner, Lynn Yates, Matt Livingston, Jill Thompson, or Teresa Poole. Thank you.
So the closing song is called Breaths. So thank you, Jill, for your prayer. And the mini choir is going to sing, and if you catch on to the chorus, you're welcome to sing along. Well, you can sing no matter what. It's fine. But, all right.
Our benediction today is called Inspired by Our Ancestors by Leah Derlin Jones. For those who came before us, we offer gratitude and thanks. May their memories be a blessing. May we feel surrounded by their love. As we go forth from this time and place, let us be inspired by their courage, their wisdom, and their dreams. Let us honor them by doing the work of living boldly, loving mightily, and creating heaven.